This is a review of the Daily Fantasy Lineup Optimizer for NFL at dailyfantasycafe.com. We believe our optimizer to be the most advanced in DFS, and I'll show you why. So first of all, you have your sports selector. We're on NFL. Then you select your site, and then you select your slate. All the contests on DraftKings and FanDuel are now designated by slate, so make sure you're selecting the proper slate for the contest you're in. Secondly, we have filters and advanced tabs, and if you just click on those, they will hide and disappear. You can filter your players by team total. This is by Vegas team total. And as you filter, you'll see that certain teams will gray out and all their players in the exclude will update. So if I want to exclude all games over 25 points or under 25 points, I would select that, and only players on teams above 25 points would still be displayed. I'm going to reset those excludes, and you can reset by clicking any of these buttons. You can reset all your settings here, and it will reset all the locks, excludes, exposure, and projections updates. If you've manually entered projections or uploaded projections, it'll reset them to the original default projections. You can also filter by salary, so if you only want to be in a certain salary range, you can update that. It'll update the slider and update your excludes as well. You can click on a particular time of game or games, and it'll exclude all games at that time. You'll see the games go gray. Or you can exclude a particular game and a particular team and all the players on that team. You can see the Vegas over/under and the point total for each team. Clicking on advanced, this is where we really distinguish ourselves from the competition. You can update your projections based on the game type, whether you're doing GPP or cash. You can exclude a defense versus offense in your lineup if you don't want to go against yourself. Same thing with QB and RB on same team. You may not want them on, you can turn that on. You can select the maximum players per team that you want, and this is on the same team. So if you only want 2 players potentially on the same team in your lineups, select 2. You can lock the flex position into a particular position. You can turn on individual player exposure. When you do that, you'll see the exposure column highlight. And without a lock, if a player isn't locked, you'll see this gray. This exposure percentage is the total cap. So it's telling the optimizer Andrew Corliss can't be in more than 80% of your lineups. Now he could potentially be in 80% or less. He could potentially be in 0. You're leaving it up to the optimizer to decide. If you locked Andrew Corliss, you'll see the exposure go to 0, and this becomes an absolute value. And so you have to manually edit the exposure percentage you want him in. So if you typed in 50%, clicked enter, Andrew Corliss would be locked into 50% of your lineups, no more, no less. So this is really powerful. It diversifies risk and is pretty rare in the optimizer field, especially when all the lineups are optimal, which ours are. So you can turn on global player exposure, and that will apply exposure to all players. This can be helpful if you're looking for a wide variety of lineups. It doesn't allow players to be in 100% of your lineups. Your lineups will no longer be optimal, but you'll have a wide range, and if you're doing multiple lineup entries, this can be really powerful in diversifying your risk. So we also have a stack generator, which is a popular tool of ours. Haven't seen anyone else out there with a stack generator. You can create multiple stacks. You can create stacks based on teams and players, and I'm an MLB, so let me go over to NFL. You can identify the number of the players in the stack, the positions for each stack if you wanted to, or you could just let it generate itself. So for example, this was for the playoffs, and you get a stack of 4 players. You can save that stack, and then you can go back over to your NFL lineup optimizer and refresh, and we're going to turn on save stacks, and then you're going to see that stack pop up there. And so you can build lineups around a stack and then assign exposure to that stack. So if you said you only wanted that stack in 50% of your lineups, you could do that. 50% of your lineups will include that stack and then have a lineup built around it. You can upload your own projections. You can override some or all of the projections. You can exclude all players. If you want to work within a certain small pool of players, you could exclude them all and then go into your exclude tab and unexclude those you want to work within. And then you can search for a player by team or by team abbreviation. You can search by name or certain letters in the name. Powerful search there. And then you can also apply projection models that we've built for you. So if you apply this model, it's yards per game allowed model by the other team according to position. So if you click on this and your wide receiver is going against a weak defense for wide receivers, it'll bump up that projection, and the opposite if they're going against a tough defense. Vegas total projection, if they have a nice Vegas total, it'll increase their projection, and then same for fantasy points allowed for their opponent. So these are nice models to work within, some of the most popular data to look at. Definitely play around with those. And then you just simply generate lineups and you get the optimal lineups. So we're constantly adding new features. We're constantly committed to making DFC the #1 destination for your DFS tools. So check back often and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Good luck.